Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show and our series. We are back, Gratitude. Georgia Pinto joins me. She's my co-hostess with the mostest. And honestly, kudos to her for this idea. I love it. I think it's awesome. Talking about gratitude and all things being thankful on a weekly basis. And we took a little sabbatical, mainly because of my schedule. But we are back every Tuesday. So if you have some things that you'd like us to talk about, make sure you message me or Georgia. You can see our information scrolling across the bottom there, or you can find us on social media. Welcome back, Georgia. How you doing?
Hey, it's good to see you. I'm doing great. How are
I'm
you?
doing great. It's great to see you. You've had the patience of Job with my crazy schedule, but you're busy too. So it's just a crazy busy time of year. But this is so important to both of us. So we wanted to make a concerted effort to bring this back because honestly, I got a lot of amazing feedback on it.
Same.
So I just think it's important. It's a great reminder, even if it's once a week,
That's
for you
right.
to be grateful for things. So since we're kind of regrouping and restarting, tell them a little bit about you.
All right. Well, thanks. It's good to see you.
Great to see you.
So I'm Georgia Pinto, and I live in Naples, Florida. Ted and I were introduced together, I guess you could say online, and then we got together at one of my community events here in Naples. But we got introduced by one of our faves, Yvonne, who we're very grateful for. She's
Yes.
in the Orlando area. And I am married almost for 20 years. Next month, it'll be 20 years. I'm very grateful for that. To my husband, Ramon, and have two wonderful sons. They are 15 and 18 now. Can't believe they'll be
Can't
16 and
believe it.
19 this summer. And I also have my 4-year-old dog Turbo in the house. So I am the only the
You're the
only
only
female
female. You're the
I'm
only.
a retired elementary school teacher of 21 years, and I've been in the wild world of real estate as a realtor for 3 years full time, 6 years juggling, 6 years total, but a few of those years, 3 years juggling teaching and real estate.
That's
So
amazing. You have a very teacher-esque presence, a very common, which you would have to as an elementary school teacher.
I'll get out a red pen for this. Tell a little bit about you because I know maybe at first, maybe more of your followers and friends will be a part of this, but we're starting to get mutual friends.
Yes,
And
which I
I
love.
would love any of my friends to friend you.
Well, I would love that. So, I am married almost 33 years. I have three children, 32, 30, and 26, and two grandsons.
Oh,
I'm going out to visit them soon because it's one of my grandsons' birthdays. I love to travel. I am a mortgage banker. So I do loans in all 50 states. I'm more of the business development side of it, but I am licensed and I can talk the language. I have a team that does all of this great stuff for me. But I've been in the industry, around the industry for 30 plus years. So only ever done insurance, then title, and then mortgage. And then I just dabble in consulting. And of course, I have the podcast. This is almost the seventh anniversary of the podcast is coming up in August,
oh.
which has been such a blessing to me. And so that's one of the things I'm grateful for. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So, question for you. I didn't know you during COVID. Did you still do the podcast during COVID? And was that something that was you're really active with?
It's a great question. So, yes, actually, before COVID, all of the podcast was done in person.
Oh,
And then when
interesting.
COVID came, it made me have to pivot. But what it did is it opened up my audience and we became more worldwide. So, I've had people on from India, Australia, Japan, Europe, everywhere in the world because this right here makes it look easy. It's very studio
Right.
oriented, which it's just opened so many doors. So yes, we actually did a ton of shows during COVID because our local businesses were hurting so badly, especially our restaurants. And so we
Mhm.
did a ton of shows just to promote and let them know they were still open, there was still delivery, all that stuff we had to shift during COVID. But it ended up being a huge blessing.
That's awesome. I'll have to go back into the archives and watch some
We
of
have
your
to
older.
create the archives, which I should probably put that in the comments. You can find every show from #1 on my YouTube channel, which is YouTube/The TED Show.
That's really
So
cool.
tell
And
me,
have you always kind of had like you just your themes vary like based on like we came up with gratitude, but depending on what like sometimes are they just interviews with
yeah,
people?
thanks for asking that. It really started out just as a passion project. And I just knew that I had a lot of people that I thought were making a big impact in the world in whatever way they did. And I wanted to showcase them. And we started the show when Facebook Live just came out. It was relatively new, believe it or not, just
Mhm.
7 years ago. And decided that that would be the best way for me to showcase those people. So we've had on cancer survivors, presidential candidates, politicians, CEOs, realtors, obviously,
Yeah.
just people,
Veterans.
veterans, human
Yeah.
interest stories, people sharing their journey. And I think that's why the show has been such a blessing. It resonates with people. And so I've been able to continue to do it for almost 7 years.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
great questions. Hey, Georgia, take over the show. I love it when somebody else is running the running the show. It's so much better for me. I'm like, sure, I don't have to ask questions.
Hey,
I
it's
love
fun every once in a while, right? Like in school, we used to have like opposite day or something. Like we get
exactly. Oh my God, opposite day. Coming from a teacher, there you go. That's such a teacher thing. So tell them a little bit before we get into gratitude. Tell them the transition from teacher to realtor.
Oh my
What was
gosh.
that like and why?
Right. Well, for years, I mean, almost every year that I taught, I was always doing something in addition, right, to help with income. So it would be like tutoring, babysitting. I worked at Pottery Barn. I waited tables, not all at the same time, but throughout the years. And my sister's a realtor up in Virginia, and she has been a realtor for I think 12 or 13 years now, but had been cheering me on with teaching, but saying you might think about wanting to get into real estate. And I always had it in the back of my head, and was thinking about it, and I really prayed about it and thought about it. And in November of 18, I started to take the classes at night. So after a full day of teaching, I went from like 6:30 to 9:30,
Wow.
Monday through Thursday. It was either 4 or 6 weeks. And I took the exam on a Saturday in December. And then I was on a Tuesday in December. And I was doing an open house that Saturday or Sunday. I mean,
Wow.
I love people, and I love, finding out their why, and I love helping people solve their problems. And I was doing that with little people for 21 years. Sometimes like literally, right? Like math problems or that person's not being my friend. But now it's just different kinds of problems to solve. And like I was saying before the show started, like tomorrow, real estate is bringing me and my son, who just got his real estate license last year, it's bringing us to Canada for an international conference. I've been to Anaheim, California, and Orlando, your neck of the woods,
Yeah.
for national conferences, or really international is what they are. So there are people from all over the place. So it was I wouldn't say it was necessarily an easy transition, but it was faith over fear.
Yeah.
So I kept, wanting to kind of see signs and knowing when the time was right. And I was going to retire right before COVID hit. We were on spring break, and everything closed down like right before we were supposed to go back from spring break in 2020. Yes. And I was kind of primed and ready to give my notice, but I stayed in a year longer. So 2020 to 2021 was my last year. So next month will be 3 years out of the school. But I say that, and I'm still involved on the PTA at my youngest son's school. He's a sophomore. I support our teachers. We're going to be doing some things here locally when I get back from Canada to, appreciate our teachers and stop in and see them. I've helped one of my families buy a house. I've helped some teachers sell and buy houses. So it's just something that my heart is still in, like teaching. I've started a team now with real estate. So I'm teaching, my teammates things, and they're teaching me, just like in the classroom. I was learning from the kids all the time and fellow coworkers, but I love it. I love it. I'm glad that I didn't wait too much longer. But I do really approach my days as like, what can I learn, and kind of that never be the smartest one in the room, always be learning. So
Yes, always be learning. I am never the smartest one in the room, so there is no
no.
struggle there for me. All right, let's talk a little bit about the show, because
Okay.
we're going to come to you every Tuesday, Gratitude Tuesday. So talk a little bit about gratitude. What is it? What does it mean to you, and why do you think the show? Because the show has resonated. We talked about this before we went live. I've had a lot of comments. People do like the show. They love being reminded at least
Mhm.
weekly, hey, you should be thankful for the things that you have. So talk a little bit about what that means to you and your why.
Right. So I think every day, if you can wake up, and you don't have to do it like before you get out of bed. I usually just say a prayer when I'm in bed, but I do get, when I'm journaling, and I have Jesus Calling here. I was going to read from some of that today. I think it's important to be thinking about what you're grateful for and counting your blessings.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might be something that you're still working through, but to show thanks that you were given this. Perhaps it's a dilemma, or you might even view it as a setback, but just knowing that like it was meant for you, if that makes sense, that like you were chosen to be given that, and maybe to work with somebody, and that there's a reason for it, and to show thanks for it. So you and I have, kind of cheered people on and urged them to, if they're writing it down, I try to write 3 things a day that I'm grateful for, or 3 people, it can be 3 circumstances. And what I'm doing also is taking it a step further now, and I'm writing 2 notes a day to somebody. So it might not email or text, but like a snail mail note.
Oh, I
Um,
like that idea.
yes,
I
because I
like
think there's power in writing, definitely like writing your gratitude, but then
100%.
also sending a note.
I love the handwritten. And this is what happens, I think, when people go, okay, I want to do a journal, Georgia. I want to say my prayer, and I want to do exactly what Georgia said. And then they get overwhelmed
Mhm.
by the task. And then a day goes by, 2 days goes by, and they beat themselves up. In my opinion, you start slow.
Yes.
Two written notes a day is manageable. I mean, I don't
Right.
even know how that would take 10 minutes between the two.
Right.
And so I think I want to encourage people to just pick something, start there, get used to that, do that regularly, get it into your routine, and then begin to shift other things into it.
Right.
I have people say, well, Ted, I'm terrible at writing. I'm like, well, you're the only one reading it. So it's still
That's
good
it.
to write it down, right? You're not
Right.
trying to present. This isn't a presentation in front of people. Nobody else is going to read this. This is unless you want them to. This is your
Right.
personal thing. So you can be as sloppy and as misspelling oriented as you want to be, as long as you get that out.
Right. So one of the most recent letters I wrote was to somebody who I'm working on a transaction with, and she's the listing agent. And radon was found in the home that she's selling and that my buyers are buying. And I just wrote to her and said how wonderful it is to work with her, and that we're going to get to the finish line. So it's like acting as if, and being grateful for that ahead of time. And she just, sent me a quick text and said, thank you so much for the kind note. But it goes a long way, right? Because you're not only like texting it, but like putting somebody's like going to their mailbox and getting it. And in some circumstances, you might be meeting up with somebody. It could be their birthday or something. And, those notes count too. But it really is cool. And I like what you said about that. If you aren't doing very well with it, it's like if you were brushing your teeth for a few days, you're not going to like never brush your teeth again. You're just going to start brushing them again. So, maybe you start with one note, or maybe you start with writing one thing you're grateful for, and then it starts to. And sometimes like I'll start to write something I'm grateful for, and I'm like, have I written that? But I don't go back and check. I just write it because I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? You're this is on your heart and in your head, and this is what you're grateful for today. And I'm sure like if I wrote you 3 notes, you wouldn't be like, why does she keep writing me notes? You'd be like, I'm really grateful for her. She's writing me notes.
Well, I think people also get, I love the thing that you brought up earlier, that even if you're in the midst of trouble or setback or challenges, to still express gratitude. It's not easy though. So what I want to tell people is you're human, right? So if you're feeling bad, sad, defeated, not in a good place, we're not saying that it's okay, it's all going to be fixed and you should be
Right. The
cheery
way
and
you want.
yeah. So I think it's important for people to just focus on that one thing instead of focusing on that problem. I mean, you can be
Absolutely.
grateful. You can be grateful for what's coming. There's all sorts of things that you can do, but think about the things that you're grateful for. That one problem is causing you grief, but it doesn't have to be your whole life, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
And gratitude, expressing gratitude. Sometimes expressing gratitude to people is also I believe is just such a beautiful two-way thing. And so every day I try to express gratitude to people, just part of my day. And I think that if you get used to saying that to people, you will be amazed at how that kind of changes your whole thought process on
Right.
gratitude.
I agree with you. And, to be specific and intentional about it and not just say like, thanks for helping me with that. But like, it really took a lot of, pressure off, or you really had a way with those people, or, just being like really specific about it. It helps them too, as being
Yes.
reflecting.
It's very
Reflection.
helpful. It's very helpful. All right. Do you have any final words of wisdom for this week's? Because we're going to continue to do this with you guys every Tuesday.
Right.
We're going to have some scripture we'll share and positive thinking and the way that we kind of do things and share. We'll be expressing gratitude for people too along the way as it comes up and things that are going on in our life. Do you have any parting words of wisdom, Georgia?
I would just say that if you need any help with it, feel free to reach out to us. Even if like you're just seeing me or Ted for the first time, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to help you, and start small. I think it's good to start small, like with most projects.
Start small. Don't beat yourself up. If you think I've got to write 4 pages of journaling today on what you're thankful
Right.
for, start small. Start with one thing if that's what it takes for
That's
you to
right.
get into the habit and for it to be part of everything every day, your every day that you do. So, Georgia, what's the best way they can find you?
They can go to community.expert/Georgia, or I'll give my phone number, 757-561-5396.
And y'all can find me.
And
Well,
you?
you guys know where to find me. You can find me on the show pages, YouTube, community expert / Ted Bogert. I mean, there are so many ways for you to reach me, but we want you to reach out. If you have ideas for a show,
Yes.
if you have someone that you want to express gratitude, we'd be happy to read that on the show for you. So just let us know. We want this to be a show where you feel good and you get gratitude into your day every day and make it a habit, make it something that
That's
you are
right.
that's important part of your day. All right, Georgia, I'm grateful for you. And
Same to
we will
you.
we will be back next week, y'all. See you later.
See
Bye,
ya,
everybody.
everybody.